Okay, I'm back. Part 3. I'm going to try to wrap it up this time. So, these shamans, priest class, whatever you want to call them, not only were they understood the forest and how to extract the medicines and the herbs and all the sacred stuff. They were in control of the pharmacy, if you want to call it. Um, and they also controlled time, because earlier I was talking about agriculture and stuff. Time was essential to understanding when and how to plant your crops. And some cultures live by a moon calendar, which I think a moon calendar is a little bit more efficient to planting crops and stuff. But some cultures live by solar calendars and such, and it's caused a lot of problems over the years if you look into history. So these holders of the caduceus, these shamans, these priests, they held they knew the understanding of the stars, and every culture probably had a different story. And if you understand the basic numerology of the zodiac, or the sun's movements through the celestial heavens, you can tie so many mythological stories and religions together and stuff. It's so fascinating. But basically, so let's just say, let's start with the cross of the zodiac. This is basically your cardinal directions as well: north, south, east, and west. And then here's your sun, the sun on the cross. And then here's your sun with its 12 helpers. And then here's your sun. Let's call him Horus this time. Here's your sun, the sun god Horus, on the cross with his hands nailed to it. Okay, and he's got his 12 helpers. These 12 signs also represent the creatures or the animals of the zodiac, and you can assign them, to Pisces and Aquarius and so on and so forth. There's a lot of different ways to look at it, but summer, spring, winter, fall, and it's essential to keep track of time. I always think, if the power went out tomorrow, if you know the nativity story and you know how to find the constellations in the sky, boy, you can kind of get things back in order. At least you can figure out when to plant crops and all this stuff, and I'll show you how here in a second. So this is also, sometimes you'll find on these clocks, this is stuff I was showing people earlier, sometimes you'll find on the cross, I'm sorry, not the clocks, but on the cross, you'll find this symbol sometimes. Looks kind of like that. Like I found some in early or old graveyards and stuff like that. It's called IHS, Isis Horus Set. This is also a symbol for the Jesus Society or the Jesuit Society. I found early coins from back then that had the caduceus, the serpent on the staff on the back of the coin, and then they had Jesus, not the sun, but it actually had Jesus, the man, hanging on the cross. And you got to remember, all these characters of the zodiac were anthropomorphized into characters on the ground, because it was always a story of as above, so below, as above, so below. Jesus says it in his prayer. So now, I'm not suggesting that Jesus didn't live or walk this earth, and I'm not suggesting that it's not possible that this all got put into place after the fact that man was around, or that God was around. I'm not trying to change anybody's philosophy, but I'm just trying to say that our clock, our whole sense of time, is set up around these stories and everything. So on Christmas, the sun, let's just say there's 360 degrees in the perfect circle, but our calendar, our year, has 365 degrees. And let's just say this is winter. The sun will pause here for 3 days, and it won't move one direction or the other So it essentially dies on the cross of the zodiac, and then in the summer it stalls for 2 days, and it's just the Earth is wobbling before it starts to go back through its spin and everything. So so you have 365 days to complete a complete circle. So at the end of the story of Jesus, he dies on the cross for 3 days. And at the beginning of the story, I think he's baptized or something like that, or he goes through the nativity scene, which all kind of takes place on Christmas Eve and Christmas morning night. And what I mean by that is, this is a really crude drawing, sorry guys. What I wanted to finish with, Isis horse set. It's funny how, remember I was saying you found that on coins and stuff, and I found this on crosses set like this, and I know sometimes the cross reads something different here, like King of the Jews, I can't remember how it's spelled out, but Isis horse set is often on crosses, at least one hanging in my mom's house. This symbol here is HIS, an old money symbol. This is Horus set, H over the S, a more common money symbol, and a less common money symbol, Isis set. So this is where our symbol for money comes from. So you kind of know who's doing what here. And, when you're the guy in charge of doing this, and you're the guy in charge of this, the pharmacy and time, eventually you're going to be the guy in charge of this, right? Just makes sense. So, here we go. If you go out on Christmas Eve, you'll find this constellation called Orion. Orion was a great hunter in the sky. He's also all kinds of other characters. But it just so happens, let me give you this other drawing here. It just so happens that, and this whole calendar system, just remember, this whole system of time and everything, this was perfected around 1550, our clock. And it was actually after they took the Mayans info, after they stormed the Mayans, they took the Mayan calendar and the Julian calendar at the time, and they merged those two calendars into one calendar called the Gregorian calendar, or otherwise known as the Year of Our Lord, and we've been living under the Year of Our Lord for however long now. So, here we go. I'm going to point right up here. This constellation Orion rises, and it only rises on the horizon, where you get horse rising. It only rises right there on Christmas Eve, exactly in that position. Usually it comes up in a completely different spot throughout the year, but it's because of the Earth's wobble that it happens to come up. And it just so happens that, these 3 stars in his belt, they're usually aligned that morning with these pyramids. The 3 kings pyramids, or the 3 wise men's pyramids. And these 3 pyramids, at one time Egypt was the prime meridian, and the Bible says, I will call my son out of Egypt. I think that's fascinating. But so the 3 kings line up on Christmas morning, these 3 wise men, and they travel from the east across the sky, and they follow this star right here. And this star is usually pretty much in alignment with these stars. And these 3 stars align with not just these pyramids, but they align with all kinds of pyramids around the world on Christmas Eve, from what I understand. And I believe there's Egyptian temples and monuments built on all of these other celestial bodies. And if you read the book of Thoth, these stars are named like frankincense and myrrh and all this crazy stuff. Like the spices that the kings were bringing them, is pretty fascinating. And then it's following the star called the Eastern Star, and that's the breast of the dog star, and where you get Catholic dogma from. So this great star in the east, and it travels all night long until Christmas morning. And dang if I don't have to make another video. I'm going to start it right now.